To create your bee, you will need a pencil, a Sharpie, a yellow and brown marker, a scissors, and liquid glue. All right, boys and girls, we're going to do part 2 of your honeycomb beehive project. I am going to today show you how to either do a realistic bee or a more stylized bee. This bee was provided to you. You are welcome to use this as your guide, or you can create a more realistic one that looks like this. I am going to show both, and then you decide which one you'd like to do. If you would like to do the more realistic looking bee, you may, of course, start with pencil. I am going to start with a Sharpie to save time. Use a pencil and then outline with Sharpie. That is much, much better for you. To start, I am going to make the bee's head. A bee's head is round, like an oval, and then a little bump for the nose. Bees have very large eyes, so I'm going to make 2 big eyes and fill them in. Bees have antennas. I'm going to have them coming forward because they use those to feel and smell. Now, the other part of our bee, the middle, which is called his thorax, and then his body, which is called his abdomen, is going to come to a point for his little stinger. Go around and come to a point, just like that. This is the part that has the stripes. So you can make some curvy stripes too. Now let's get those beautiful wings on. These should go out pretty far. So if you need to use a finger to make a ghost line and help you, I say that's a better way to train your hand before you just go ahead and start. Now remember, you're using pencil first, so draw light till you've got it right. I like to have it go out pretty far, curve around, and then I make a little curve like this before I go back to the body. Do you see how it's very skinny here? And then it goes out. Now we're going to make the second wing. These still both come out of the middle part of your bee's body. This one's a little easier though, because all you have to do is curve around and up to the top wing. Same with the other side. Start at the bottom, curve around, and go up to the top wing. Piece of cake, right? Now, wings in bees have these very cool little vein-looking lines. So I am going to make a line that goes all the way across my bee's wing, and then I'm going to have little lines coming out, and they're going to go in different directions like that. Again, I'm going to make kind of a jagged line and then have little lines coming out of it that go in different directions. Not too many, just a couple. Same thing with the bottom one. Only a few less because you don't see as much of that wing. Pretty snazzy looking wings now, huh? Now the only thing that we still need is some legs. So the legs also come out of this middle part. So to get those 6 legs, I'm gonna have some lines and little tiny V at the top. I want these ones to come from the top because it's kind of hard to fit all of those underneath the wings. So 2 at the top, and then I'm going to have the last 4 underneath, where these 2 are going to come out this way. And then let's get his little toesies in there. See how I also thicken my line a little bit so that you can see those better? And then make a little V at the bottom. And there you go. I am going to use my black Sharpie to make the black stripes on the body. So I know I want the stinger to be black. So I'm going to start there and fill that in first. This whole bottom part. That will help you to know which next one is going to be black. Because you don't want to start at the top here and then, oops, you do this one, and then you can't make your stinger black. You're going to want the stinger to be black. So start down at the bottom, and then you skip one and get the next line. So these parts should be filled in. And I would use your Sharpie because your Sharpie is permanent and it will not mix in with the color you use later. You don't want your black water-based marker to mix in with your yellow. That wouldn't look very nice. All right, so that's how you would draw a realistic looking bee. Now, if you would like a stylized bee, we're just going to follow this template right here. I do not want you to use this. This someone else created. This is not yours. We're going to make your own version of this. I'm going to use this the tall way so that I have a little more space. I am first going to start with a circle for a head. You can start with pencil. When you outline it with Sharpie, I would make sure this is nice and thick. Then we're going to make the body, which is curved and comes to a point. Start in the head, go out, around, and down to a point. If you need to make a dot down here so that you know where to stop, it's not a bad idea. Curve around and down and come back down to a point. Then let's get those wings. First wing, start closer to the top, go out and around and down to the body. Same with the other side. Start close to the head, go out, around, down, and then back to the body. Those two are going to be your bigger wings. Your next set I would actually start at the end of your wing and go down and around like that. It's not nearly as big of a wing. Do that on both sides. And then let's get your kind of fun, curly antennas that spiral at the end. Now, when you are ready to outline this with Sharpie, I would go around that and make that nice and thick, because to cut that out is going to be a little tricky if it's too thin. So I'm going to thicken that. All right. Now the only thing you need is your stripes. I'm going to curve my stripes like that. And there you go. Again, I like the idea of having real thick lines. You see how thick the lines are here? All you have to do is go over your Sharpie lines one more time to make them nice and thick. It helps your bee to stand out a little better against your honeycomb. So I am going to go over those lines one more time. And then with a Sharpie, fill in your stripes. Start down at the stinger first so that you know which one to skip and which one to fill in black. Skip this one, fill this one in black too. I'm going to leave it up to you if you want to put veins in these wings or if you want to leave them like this. I don't think it really matters that it's not in the template that we looked at for help. I think it's your art and you should decide. All right, boys and girls, no matter which bee you chose, coloring this in is pretty simple. If you want a more stylized looking bee, really the only thing you need to do is color in the body yellow to get those yellow stripes against your black. That's why we use Sharpie for that part, because if I was using yellow and tried to get that into some washable black, I'd be mixing that all together, and I don't want that. For this one, I would say just make your bee head yellow. Now this one is more realistic, so I'm going to leave it up to you if you want the entire thing yellow. However, our honeycomb is very, very orange and yellow, so I want to make this look more realistic and have a little bit of a different color in there. So I am going to make my bee's head brown instead of yellow because I want that realistic bee look. I am going to leave the wings white because they are very clear, see-through. So I'm going to leave that. That part was pretty easy peasy. All right, let's talk about how to cut your bee out so that it doesn't have a lot of the paper on the outside. No matter which bee you choose, the best way to do it is going to be bubble cutting, which means you're going to cut very close to your lines, but not right on them. Now, this doesn't mean cut like this. That is leaving way too much paper. You want to get as close to that black line as you possibly can, because if you leave that much paper around your line, you're going to cover up a ton of your honeycomb. And even it like this, if you cut like this, that's way too much paper. Get as far in there as you can. And here's a little tip. Why do I have to go around like that when that is really tricky? Come at it from the other side and cut the triangle out of those little spaces instead. Look how much easier that was. You can cut paper out however you want. I mean, it doesn't have to go right along the lines. If it's easier for you to get in there by coming out from the edges and pull that out, do it that way. Way, way easier. I would also try to round as many of your edges as you can, because you're gonna see all of that once you put it on your honeycomb. And if you don't want it to look messy, here's my trick. Go around and skip those little parts. See how I went all the way around the legs? I'm going to do it over here too, and then I'm going to go back and show you. See how I went around them? Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut out a little triangle and pull that out. You see that? Way easier than trying to get your scissors inside of there. Same with right here. I'm going to come around and cut out like that. Much, much easier. I actually even think I could get a little bit out of here. The more paper you get out, the more honeycomb you will see. You spend all that time on that honeycomb, and the last thing we want to do is cover it with paper that has nothing on it. All right, that one's done. Now, this one's going to be a little bit easier because it doesn't have as much on it. So, again, bubble cut. The only part we need to worry about on this one as far as cutting is the antennas. This is my advice. I would go up as far as you can. Do you see how awkward that was? That was really hard. Let's cut some of that paper out of there. Make that easier. Let's cut this off too. make that easier. And now I'm going to come around the other way. See, if your scissors is ever giving you trouble, it's probably because there's too much paper in the way. Just come from the other side and you'll be fine. Never think you have to keep all that paper on there. Always cut to the edge when you don't need paper in your way so much anymore. Same with this. Cut to the edge like that. Or to the line, I mean, like that. And get all of that paper out of there, and then go back and cut that little stuff out. It's a lot easier when you don't have so much. See? Much better, right? It's a lot of paper right there. Let's trim that down a little bit. All right. Look at the bees that I cut out. Look how little paper I have on the edge. The less paper you have, the better. It should follow the lines of the bee you drew. It should not be out really far. Take your time cutting. Make sure that this part is not something that you rush. All right, boys and girls, as soon as you have your bee cut out, it's time to decide where you're going to put it. Now, you might have noticed that I accidentally got blue dripped right into my yellow and turned green. So I thought I would use that little oops as my spot where I put my bee. Now, if you didn't have any issues like that, you decide where you want it to go. Where is it going to go? Right in the middle? Is it going to be on the side? Is it going to be going up and down? Is it going to be sideways, facing up? What do you want? Now, I can cover that very easily, even just with the wings. So if I want it right here, that's fine. If I want it to be somewhat in my background and somewhat in my honeycomb, that's fine too. Whatever it is that you decide to do is completely fine with me. You will need some glue to make sure that that sticks down. Remember, when you glue, you only need to get your edges. That's it. You never need to worry about the middle. On those little tiny legs, you make sure that you get a little bit on there because it's going to goosh out no matter what you do. I am going to put, man, I didn't even decide. I am going to put mine down like this, I think, and have his little stinger cover my oops there. And then I'm going to press gently, and especially on these little parts because they're going to want to stick up really, really bad. Okay, as soon as you have your bee glued on, you are done. And your beehive honeycomb project is complete. I can't wait to see what you create.